Hey guys, welcome back to the Snap Ring Chronicles. Today we have another Ratchet video for you. But like always, before we start, if you find this content interesting or helpful, just give me a like, a share, or consider subscribing to my channel. Okay, today we have a Champion Plug Master Ratchet. Is model CT-900 USA, and it has a bent handle and a flex head. These were I think these were marketed by Champion Spark Plug Company. I think mainly to mechanics to do spark plug jobs. I'm not sure if these were marketed to the general public. I could be wrong, but from what I was able to gather, I think these were kind of mostly marketed to trade mechanics. And here's the head. These were made by, I think, maybe a couple of different companies. I know that the same Champion Plug Master, they have a CT-405 model and a CT-451 model, and I think those two models were made by New Britain, because on the underside they have those two patent numbers that belong to New Britain, and the switch looks exactly like those models, like the New Britain patent with the floating pawl that they made famous. That comes under a bunch of different companies marketed those. Husky. Who else? Off the top of my head, yeah. Husky, I think. I forget the other ones, but there were a bunch of different ones that marketed the New Britain design. This, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking this is Indestro, because of the shape of the switch. It reminds me a lot of an Indestro model. And this, as we're gonna see inside, is a different mechanism than the floating pawl mechanism. So let's open this up. And this has the coil ring that you get underneath, and you have to pick out. There's the coil ring that 95% of round heads have, pretty much, I think. Yeah, just the same old as far as the retention. Okay, and this there's a ball detent in the handle with a spring underneath, and it has here, it's had here cutouts for the detent, so it's not a smooth swivel. It goes in positions like that, So that could be good, because as this gets old, you know, a lot of ratchets that are swivels, they start to get floppy. So this, you don't have that problem with this one flopping over too bad because of the detent. Okay, you just push out on the anvil and take the mechanism out. And these are the teeth. It's a fine tooth ratchet. I haven't counted the teeth yet, but I'll leave it in the description how many teeth this has. But it's, as you can see, there's a good amount of teeth in here. It's easily over 40 teeth in this ratchet. Here's the mechanism. Nothing too special about this mechanism. It's just your regular SK style tilting pawl. It tilts back and forth. Has the detent underneath the plunger, and there's a spring underneath the plunger that when you switch the switch, it just raises the pawl from one end to the other end. And this pawl is a fine tooth pawl, and it has 5 teeth on this pawl. Okay, to take this apart, I just press down on the pawl that's up on the tension, and I press it all the way down, and then I move the switch over to the side so the detent is underneath the body here. You see, this pawl just swings freely now because the plunger is underneath here. And then I try to get underneath. I try to get underneath the switch with a nail. There we go. And I just wiggle the switch out little by little. And little by little. Okay. A funny story about this this ratchet. When I first got it, it hadn't been serviced in years. You can tell the grease or whatever that was inside the head had turned solid, and it was just chunks of kind of solid grease in there. And as I was taking the switch apart, what do I always say is cover the holes when you take it out, cover it with your fingers so this detent won't go flying and you lose it in the spring. Well, that's what happened, exactly. I went to take out the switch and I pulled it out too much all of a sudden, and the detent goes flying across the room. And the spring goes flying, and fortunately I found the detent, the plunger, but I did not find the spring. And I had to get a spring from an old cheapy Taiwanese ratchet that I picked up for $1, and I swapped that out. But that spring is gone. But here's the detent or the plunger, and it's hollow on the bottom, so the spring can fit inside of it. And here's the spring. Like I said, this isn't the original spring. This is a transplanted spring from another ratchet. And the plunger and spring, they go together like that. Here's the switch. The switch feels pretty solid. I'm thinking it's a cast piece, I think, but it has good weight to it. There's the hole for the plunger and the spring. Here's the pin for the pawl. Decent size. Decent thickness. Here's your paw. Like I said before, there's 5 teeth on this paw. That's what it looks like. It's WD-40 on there. And That's what it looks like. It's chamfered. The hole is chamfered here on both sides. Just looks like an average pawl. SK style. And here is the housing for the mechanism, which is typical. And this is raised here. This part and this part is raised. You see there's like a lip there. And this part is raised, and this, so it's like a very shallow little trench here. And that's where I guess the pawl and the teeth right in there. And if you look inside the head and the teeth, you see that the teeth on the edges here and in the back over here, they kind of worn down a good bit more than in the middle. And I think that's those two raised parts there wearing them down more. Alright, to get this back together, take your pawl and you put it, you put it in the mechanism, you line up the holes, you take your pin, you drop that in, like that. You take your spring and plunger and you put it in the switch, like that, and then you put it together like this. And now, let me grab a pair of needle nose. Now you take it and you mash down the plunger and you push it in. Okay. Now you see if it's switching. Yep, it's switching. You take the head with the switch part facing up and you put it where the letters are facing up. Or if you want, you can do it like this also. It might be a little cockeyed with the handle. But if that's what you're going for, you might be able to do that. Because it's bored straight through, so it has no preference really. And you just drop that there and you press down the pawl a little bit to get it in. You take your ring, find your edge, so there's a problem with the ring, it seems. Okay. Alright. You get it around the lip there, and then you just mash it around. Mash it around until it clicks in. Then you test it out to see if it's switching. Yep, it's switching. Okay, that's my review and teardown of the Champion Plugmaster CT-900 USA from, I will say, Indestro. Okay guys, till next time.